Well, good morning, everybody. It's great to be live with you today from the U.S. Department of Education. I am joined by two lovely ladies. To my right, I have Assistant Secretary Dr. Amy Lloyd and Shiketa Thomas, who's our board president. And I am going to turn this over to Shiketa, who has a few words to share.
Well, good morning, everyone. We thank you so much for joining us for our Rise and Shine podcast as we kick off Adult Education and Family Literacy Week. We are so excited to have you join us this morning and throughout the rest of the week. We have a lot of engaging activities, meetings with so many learners, educators, administrators from across the nation. And we want you to be a part of this journey as we raise awareness for adult education. We did have a wonderful video to share with you that highlighted a lot of the different things that we're doing here in COABE to support adult learners and family literacy. But hey, we're going to keep moving on without it. But we are so excited to be here in the U.S. Department of Education, meeting with Assistant Secretary Amy Lloyd. But before we turn it over to her, we do have a video to kick off our AEFL week with Secretary Cardona. Sharon?
Great. And so we've had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we're going to do our best here to show this wonderful heartfelt video that Secretary Cardona sent in. And hopefully you all can see that. And we're going to go ahead and share this.
Hello, everyone. This is Miguel Cardona, your Secretary of Education. I'm thrilled to speak with the Coalition on Adult Basic Education and all the professionals with us today who devote themselves to empowering learners of all ages. Whether you're a full-time educator, a program administrator, a tutor, or volunteer, thank you for all you do. Your work changes lives. Your work saves lives. And when your students succeed, entire families and communities succeed. I especially want to thank you for your dedication and perseverance over the last few years. I know it hasn't been easy, but it means the world to me, and it means the world to your students. This week is Adult Education and Family Literacy Week. A time for all of us to raise awareness about this work and honor our adult learners and educators. Our adult education students are unsung heroes. They are brothers and sisters, they're parents and grandparents. They're working people and immigrants, all united by a determination to overcome challenges, to get an education and build better futures. Our adult education students remind us that when it comes to learning, age really is nothing but a number. Together we draw inspiration from their strength, resilience, and hope. Together, we recommit to the cause of helping people break barriers and soar to new heights. Together, we salute the work of the educators who make their journey of lifelong learning possible. You're the teachers, the leaders, and mentors who help adult education students master basic skills and seize new opportunities. You're the guiding lights that illuminate the path of knowledge for our adult learners, helping them see something in themselves that they didn't see before. You're the educators who help individuals pull themselves out of poverty and pursue the American dream. I know this field isn't easy. No one who does this work gets in it to become rich. You're in it to change lives. That is the reward. Adult education is a beacon of hope, a path to empowerment and a bridge to a brighter future for countless individuals. This week, as we celebrate Adult Education and Family Literacy Week, let us remember that learning is a lifelong journey. The Biden-Harris administration will continue to invest in and advocate for adult education. Education is the foundation of opportunity in this country, and every student, no matter their age, deserves the chance to learn valuable skills, fulfill their potential, and pursue their dreams. Thank you again to the Coalition on Adult Basic Education. I'm tremendously grateful for all you do during Adult Education and Family Week and every other week. To stay up to date with all the activities we have planned here at the Department of Education, please visit aefla.ed.gov. Together, we can uplift adult learners, honor the hard work of our educators, and build a more inclusive, empowered, and prosperous society. Thanks, everyone, and enjoy your conference.
Wow. So we're so thankful for those wonderful words from Dr. Miguel Cardona, Secretary of Education. And now I would like to turn this over to Dr. Amy Lloyd, who is here with us from Department of Education at OCTAE. Thank you so much for joining us. And
it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. And happy Adult Education and Family Literacy Week. We are so thrilled to be celebrating this with you, Sharon, with you, Shaketa, with all of COABE. We're excited to be part of your activities. We're excited to have, I'm holding in front of me 21 pages of what Ed is doing this week. But more importantly, we're excited to be part of the movement to lift up the field, to elevate the importance of adult education, not just this week, but throughout the entire year. I think I have the honor of serving as the Assistant Secretary of the Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education. And I imagine you all know my wonderful colleagues, career and political alike here in OCTAE. I love that we get to administer Title II of WIOA, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, which you know focuses on adult education, family literacy. We also administer the Federal Perkins Program, which focuses on career and technical education across secondary and post-secondary. We also have the honor of leading on community colleges, career and college pathways broadly, correctional education. But frankly, I feel like there's so much opportunity in the adult education space for us to not only, as Secretary Cardona was saying, like provide a beacon of hope through the work that you do, that we do together, provide a path to enlightenment, provide ways for our learners to fulfill their endless potential, but provide ways for our nation to really step into our full power and strength and potential as a nation, as vibrant communities with engaged community members, as a strong and vibrant workforce. I often say that adult education is workforce development. And so I feel like of all the realms of education across our sector, there's so much potential and so much excitement and so much momentum in adult education that if we fully step into our power, we could transform lives, transform communities, transform our nation in new ways. So thrilled to be with you.
that's wonderful. And so I could hear your vision and your passion for the great work that you're doing. And I would just love to hear about the initiatives that you're working on that you're most excited about.
Absolutely. So there are 4 that we're working on right now that I wanted to share with you a little bit about today. So we here in the federal government and we here in OCTAE love good acronyms, love to talk through some of them. So one is EARN, another is Advance IET, another is DRAW, and another is the Future Finder Challenge. We're engaged in so many different exciting activities across the board. These are just 4 that I want to lift up as exemplars of the kinds of work that we're doing here at the department. But know that even beyond this, you may be engaging with my team on other elements, and we'd love to work with you and learn from you about what's exciting to you and what you want to see more of from the federal government. So in EARN, which stands for, as you may know, Enhancing Access for Refugees and New Americans, EARN, we know that roughly 50% of all of our adult education learners are English learners, with the majority of those ELs coming from Hispanic or Latino backgrounds. By the way, happy Hispanic Heritage Month. Very excited to celebrate that too. And so our Enhancing Access for Refugees and New Americans, the EARN National Leadership Activity, is building the capacity of states and local programs and classroom instructors to provide comprehensive immigrant integration services centering around IELCE, another great acronym that I suspect you all know, Integrated English Literacy and Civics Education, and IET, Integrated Education and Training Programming. And so this project is really designed to provide technical assistance that supports the linguistic, the civic, and the economic integration of immigrant communities to 3 primary audiences. We're working with state staff, we're working with local program administrators, and we're working with IELCE instructors. So very excited that we're doing our EARN project in partnership with states and locals across the country. The Advance IET is really focused on expanding integrated education and training opportunities for adult learners. It builds upon work that OCTAE has been leading in on increasing IET opportunities for adults project that offered IET design camp training. Over 40 states participated in it. It also resulted in an IET design toolkit, which I encourage you to check out if you haven't seen it yet. Over the past decade, we know that both, special grants and philanthropic investments have supported the development of IET models and programming. But to really bring this innovation and this service delivery approach to scale, we've invested a significant amount of our national leadership activities funds in this space in order to provide IET opportunities to students that really do provide economic mobility to communities across the country. We know that IET is research-based, evidence-based, and ultimately connects our learners' aspirations to traction in the labor market and gives them a leg up on possibilities to build career pathways that really do provide education as a springboard to economic and social mobility. The next acronym draw is OCTAE's Digital Resilience in the American Workforce. And that national leadership activity is focused on supporting states' current and long-term efforts to basically effectively implement digital literacy instruction in our adult education and literacy programs by preparing adult education practitioners who support learners that struggle to fully engage in tasks that demand the use of digital technologies. I know that all of us, from one day to the next, on an unexpected advent of the pandemic, shifted to digital technologies. And so we're taking the best that we learned from the pandemic. How do we continue to meet our learners where they are and where they dream to be, and use technology and digital engagement as a means to really help individualize learning, ensure that we're providing them with the supports and services that they need, and helping them to think about how they can integrate digital technologies into their future as well. So digital resilience in the American workforce is critical for all learners and workers, but especially for our adult education learners. Finally, the Future Finder Challenge, I'm very excited about. This is a $1 million challenge to reimagine career navigation for adult learners. We know career navigation tools are vital to success in today's workforce, and too few of these tools are designed to support the needs of our adult learners. And so the culmination of this event happens later this week. I am thrilled to be able to participate in the Future Finders Demo Day on Thursday. This is the first time the Department of Education has launched a challenge to advance the ed tech space for adult learners. And this challenge brings collaboration and innovation into the adult education space. We're really thrilled to be thinking about how education technology can support the Secretary's vision to raise the bar and lead the world in education, and really ensure that every single learner has a pathway to college and career that is tech-enabled. So the Future Finder Challenge will be happening later this week. So those are four that I wanted to be sure to highlight for you, Sharon.
Oh, that's awesome. And so, as we were talking earlier today, I was curious and wanted to hear you share for the field. What can they do to support your initiatives and your work?
Well, you know that adult education, our programs are an essential part of workforce development. And as I said earlier, adult education is workforce development. And right now there is a huge opportunity, a once in a generation opportunity, frankly, to engage at the state and local levels to take advantage of historic federal investments through the CHIPS and Science Act, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, the Inflation Reduction Act, and the climate provisions there. I know we hear about them in grand terms, but really this is trillions of dollars going to states and locals to transform our economy, which, if you reverse engineer that, we need to ensure that we have a strong workforce. And you take a step back from that, we need to make sure that we have strong education and training programs to support our adult learners to thrive. So it's really important for us to continue to support and expand successful programs like integrated education and training and workplace literacy for our adult learners. And in order for our adult learners to truly be able to engage in the shifting and the dynamic economy, especially as it's being reshaped through the Investing in America work, and be ready for the millions of new jobs, like Secretary Cardona often talks about investing in America as a tsunami of great jobs that provide stability, pay a living wage, provide opportunities for worker voice, opportunities for advancement. We need to ensure that our adult learners are ready to surf and ride the wave of that tsunami of jobs. And so as we think about this, how do we ensure that adult education is at the table at state and local levels as your state and local communities are thinking through workforce development, economic development, and education and training to meet those needs? And so we'd love to work in partnership with you to think about ways to make sure that our adult learners are the ones who are helping to transform our nation's future through the Investing in America work. And then I also wanted to say that, As you're working in state and local communities, it's really important for us to think through opportunities and programs for people who are justice involved and justice impacted. It's a larger population than you may think. Those of you who work in it probably know this already, but between 70 to 100 million Americans have some sort of criminal background. Over 11 million Americans cycle in and out of jail every year. There are too many people who are incarcerated in state and federal prisons. And we know that over 95% of people who are incarcerated are going to be returning home to our communities. And so as we think about how we can support all of our people from a stance on equity and economic opportunity, I want to make sure that we continue to invest in people who are justice involved and justice impacted, because that's investing in communities, that's investing in families, that has an intergenerational ripple effect on future young people to come, and it also strengthens our communities. So I think about how adult education can be such a powerful connection point between education and employment for all learners, but especially for our friends, our family members, our community members who are justice impacted. And so labor market researchers tell us that over 70% of jobs are going to require some form of post-secondary credential by 2027. Frankly, that's almost the case today. And we know that far too many people who are justice impacted, people who are incarcerated, struggle to obtain a high school equivalency, much less that next step education and training to make sure that they have a viable next step in the labor market. So I really want to think about how we can partner to make sure that we're funding technical assistance to support you to ensure that you're helping people in your states and communities who are impacted and are incarcerated to engage in IET and other adult education learning opportunities, to accelerate their learning, to ensure they have career pathways, to ensure that we have stronger post-release employment opportunities when people are returning back to our communities, and ensure that we're providing strong evidence-based practices that lead to transforming lives, providing dignity and hope and purpose to people who are impacted by our justice system. So if you haven't participated in any of our technical assistance engaging in correctional education, please reach out to me in my office. We would love to find ways to partner with you there too.
That's awesome. And I'm very excited because Shaketta Thomas is here with us, and she has led our prison literacy initiative. She herself has been involved in Department of Corrections for decades,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So would you like to say a few words about your work and about the work you've done with COABE on this?
Well, with the prison literacy, what we're really trying to do is really raise awareness, as Secretary Amy Lloyd just mentioned. Our justice impacted people do come home. The majority of them do come home. And when they come home, they come into our communities, and we want to welcome them. But we also want to build a platform where they're able to be successful upon their reentry. And that requires them being able to obtain the skills and the knowledge needed in order to secure employment, but most importantly, sustainable wages, right? So that they can care for their families. And we do know that we break generational cycles of incarceration through education, because once our learners take hold of education, then they're able to share that love of literacy, that love of exploration, really, education is, with their families, not just their children, but those that are involved with their children, those that are in their communities. And so one of our biggest challenges right now is digital equity. Yes, in our local communities, but so much more in our prisons. Having the ability to have our justice impacted individuals interface with technology, and not just technology as far as the software on a computer that may be ages old, but technology that really does prepare them to re-enter society with the necessary skills to navigate independent decision information in order to continue on with school or to step into a career field. But it's so important that we give our inmates access to the world that they will be re-entering to. So we do a lot, and we partnership with Correctional Education Association. We try to host webinars, but bring people in to build that awareness and share more stories. And if you are out there listening and you're a part of our Correctional Education prison literacy literacy arm. I cannot speak. We want you to share out this week and get involved and let us know some of the pain points that you're having in your states and how we can bring about more awareness to the needs of correctional education. But thank you so much. And thank you for including, and I know you have a lot of activities this week centered around correctional education that your office is doing as far as IETs. And so we appreciate the attention that you are given to prison literacy.
And before we turn to that next, which is a great segue over to the activities that you have planned, I want to say just a few quick words. You're probably aware that literacy is such a deterrent to recidivism. I believe it's like a 63% less chance that individual who's gotten the skills that they need will go back to prison. So we know that you're really doing great work there. But I also wanted to mention that COABE is looking to always support this effort. So we have over 143 individuals that are on our prison literacy committee. We ran a prison literacy symposium, and we had almost 3,000 that attended that. We also have a prison literacy edition of our COABE journal. We have a prison literacy strand at our national conference. And why do we do this? Because there's over 60,000 returning citizens in local programs across the country, right? So this is an important piece for COABE. So I just wanted to mention that. Very excited about that. And then the IET piece. What is there? Over 44,000 currently engaging in IETs across the country. And I know Department of Ed has great plans to increase that. So I'm going to turn this back over to our wonderful Assistant Secretary of Education who has more to share.
Absolutely. And if you are hearing some background noise, I have to apologize for that. We're sitting in a lovely conference room here at the U.S. Department of Education, and apparently they're doing construction on the floor beneath us. So I hope you can hear us okay. But I wanted to share a couple things that we're doing today and the rest of this week to celebrate Adult Education and Family Literacy Week. There's so many exciting events happening. But today, this afternoon, the second cohort of the Integrated Education and Training and Corrections Design Camp, that's a mouthful, but IET and Corrections begins. And so IET and Corrections project provides resources and technical assistance for adult educators who are interested in developing and delivering IET programs in correctional facilities. And so as Shaketa and Sharon were just saying, we know how vital literacy is. We know how vital, ensuring that our returning citizens have a next step to engage in workforce when they return is. And so this 3-day in-person event that we're launching today will allow state leaders and correctional facility education staff to develop their plans to implement IET programs within correctional facilities. So we're really excited for that. Also this week, Links celebrates the adult education field. I'm sure you're all familiar with OCTA's wonderful website, Links, and the collective impact that you are having on the cause of adult literacy and basic education in the U.S. For we know there are over 43 million adults who have low levels of literacy, or the more than 63 million adults in our country who have lower levels of math and numeracy. Each day this week, Links is going to provide professional development events online and different resources to support you in helping to change these statistics. We know that, frankly, that's one of the things in the middle of the night when I wake up and think about the ways that I want to make sure that we continue to make progress and transform our world. I want to make sure that the millions of adults who, with just that little extra boost in some foundational skills, could completely supercharge their futures. What is the gap between the number of adults we're serving in our programs and the number of adults who could engage? And so we're really excited to think creatively, strategically with you through resources and links. And we hope to see you on Links and celebrate Adult Education and Family Literacy Week in real time with you there. Or in the Enhancing Access for Refugees and New Americans, that project this week is offering a virtual training to help adult educators, especially those teaching IELCE, Integrated English Literacy and Civics Education, to think about civics activities that promote English learners and immigrants' civic readiness in particular. And so this might include supporting eligible students as they're moving forward on their pathway to citizenship, which is really critical. So this training is going to include information on citizenship process, learning more about how adult education and citizenship instruction programs providers can work together, and the training using IELCE activities to promote civic readiness and connections to citizenship. That's going to be held virtually on September 20th at 3 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern Time or noon Pacific Time. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the winner of the Future Finder Challenge will be announced Thursday afternoon. So this challenge brought collaboration, innovation into the adult ed environment through EdTech, and really has supported our vision as a whole at the Department of Education and as a whole in the administration to ensure that every learner, every worker is meaningfully engaged in pathways that lead them to bright futures. And so the finalists participated in a virtual accelerator. This included 6 months of technical assistance, and they further developed their products to be able to pitch them on Thursday. And on Thursday, one grand prize winner will receive $500,000, and 2 runners-up will receive at least $250,000 to take their products to the next level. So those are some of the highlights. But again, as I showed earlier, we have 21 pages of great things that my wonderful team has put together to celebrate this week.
And I'm always just amazed at the great work that Dr. Lloyd and her team are engaged in, really leading the field of adult education. And so I wanted to just end with asking if there was one message you could share out with COABE members across the country. There's about 40,000 plus members. This will be shared on many social media platforms. What would you say to them?
Well, that's hard to say just one thing. First, the one thing would be thank you. Like, that's the headline, is thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your engagement, for helping us continue to strengthen and grow the field of adult education and family literacy and serve the people we serve and the communities we serve to really provide hope and transform lives. I'll go back to what I was saying earlier. Like, we have so much good work underway, and I want to lift up and celebrate that all this week, but there's still so much work to do together. Like the thing that I wake up in the middle of the night thinking about, we're serving around 1 million adults in our federally funded adult education programs, but there's a big gap between 1 million and 43 million. Or if you're looking at the adults who read below a 6th grade level, 130 million. And so how do we ensure that the adults with the less than a high school diploma, those who are newcomers to our country and immigrants to our country, those are often the adults who have the lowest median weekly earnings, those who are most vulnerable to economic changes. And we've just lived through tremendous economic disruption. So when I think about equity, when I think about really helping people to set a vision and goals for their lives and then pursue that vision and accomplish their goals, I know we've got a lot of work still to do. And so I want us to work together to really strengthen and continue to lift up our field and expand our services. And in order for us, as I was talking about the Investing in America work, that billions and trillions of dollars going out to transform our economy, if we're really going to raise the bar in our education system and lead the world as a nation, we need to work together strategically, quickly, to reach many more adults through our work. I think about Dr. King's notion of the fierce urgency of now, and I feel that acutely in adult education. But I see so much hope and potential and possibility for adult education, frankly, to transform our nation. And so our fantastic division here at Octay of the Division of Adult Education and Literacy, DAEL, is putting our federal dollars to good use. And we're doing so in partnership with you and in service to you and the people that we serve. And I really want to learn from you and work with you to make sure that we are doing as much as we possibly can to support all people in our country who could avail themselves of our services and help us all become better as a result. So we're committed to providing equitable access to opportunities for our most vulnerable populations. And we know that in order for us to best serve our learners, we need to continue to find ways to integrate and coordinate service delivery to meet the varying needs of our learners and to help them succeed. I've been doing a lot of partnership across agencies and the whole of government to think about holistically, what does it take to ensure that every single learner, every single worker has the foundational supports that they need to thrive in adult education. And so now is our moment. Like, this is our moment for adult education to really, truly, boldly step into the full potential and the full power that we have, that adult education and family literacy has, to transform outcomes for people and for economies and for communities. And I really believe deeply that this is our moment for adult education to shine and to really help us elevate our programs, our services, and frankly, our nation to a greater level. So I'm hardwired to be an optimist and to be hopeful, but I am fiercely determined to work in partnership with you to continue to strengthen and grow adult education. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Alakwa gracias. Grateful to have this time with you today.
Wow, I know, I feel inspired. Thank you. Thank you for that. So as we are getting ready to close out this session, I wanted to remind everybody later today at 2:00, we have the Impacts That Count. It's the high school equivalency initiative that we'll be kicking off with NASDA, our partners for the state directors. So I want to encourage you to join at 2:00 today. And then every day we have the Rise and Shine podcast from 9 to 10 o'clock, and we have some wonderful guests lined up for each day. So I want to encourage you to join us there. But then also we have this national Padlet of activities. And so I really want to encourage you that if your local program your state association is participating or hosting or leading activities, contact info@coabe.org. We'll put it on the Padlet. And at the end of the week, we'll be able to see literally hundreds of activities that are taking place all across the country. We'll be able to really uplift this on social media, on our website that gets a lot of hits and a lot of traffic. So then I also want to encourage you that all throughout the week, there are activities taking place. So check our website. We're going to put the link right in the chat box right there, and you'll be able to see there's a schedule of activities every single day. So we really want to encourage you to do that. And I really want to mention before I hand this over to Shaketa, that we have some wonderful mayors and governors and members of Congress who have been so supportive of our work. And I'm very, very grateful to our state advocates for adult education fellows who've gone out there and worked so hard to be able to get these mayoral proclamations and gubernatorial proclamations. They met with their legislators, and they've really been doing a lot of great work. So hats off to each of them. I also want to thank our State Association Leadership Institute, which has been led by Shaketa Thomas. So I'm going to turn this over to her, and she can talk to you a little bit about that because they've done phenomenal work as well. And of course, thank you to our state directors who have worked in triumvirate with the state fellows as well as the State Association president. So really, really thankful for that. And now I'm going to turn this over to Shaketa.
I also want to just also mention our SAFE fellows who have been so active in developing and working in partnerships with those members of their states so that we have more activities going on this year than we had in the previous year. So thank you so much to that. And for our State Association Leadership Institute, that valuable institute really does provide necessary information for state associations, not only to, have a well-rounded board that is moving along and progressing towards their goals, but also equipping them with the knowledge and skills to be able to engage more so with advocacy work. And, I really do thank you so much, Assistant Secretary Amy Lloyd, for being here with us. And I look forward to deepening our partnership as we work together to raise more awareness about adult education. Sharon mentioned the Padlet. I cannot emphasize enough how much we do want to hear your stories and be able to share your stories with everyone. The more we speak about adult education, the more we build awareness about adult education and family literacy. And all the numbers and the data has been shared. It is a critical need. It is truly something that should be addressed almost in every conversation, but it's not. And the only way that we can get there is with the help of all of you by sharing and always advocating. And it's so easy to advocate. And I think everyone believes that you have to put on a big campaign or a platform. Talk about it in line at your grocery store. Talk about it at your library, at your church, about how adult education impacts the very community that we all live in. So thank you so much for joining us for our Rise and Shine podcast. And we look forward to being with you all this week, sharing all the activities and events that we have here going on in DC, plus with Jeff, making interviews on our podcast with different learners, administrators, and educators across our nation. So we welcome their stories, but more so importantly, we welcome your stories. So info@coabe.org. Please go ahead and send out countless emails. And also tomorrow, our Twitter storm. So tomorrow we will ask that you please share any of your pictures, your events, your activities on Twitter, X, tomorrow all day long. And I'll be sure to join you there. So thank you again. Have a great day.